What is going on, my Houston Texans family? Hope you are having a blessed Thursday. Early this morning, ESPN dropped an article, a update for all 32 teams when it comes to the contract extension. Well, the biggest contract extension that the team is dealing with. And no surprise for the Houston Texans is quarterback CJ Stroud. We get to hear from our guy DJ Bienemy, who does a fantastic job covering the Houston Texans all year for ESPN. Now, before we read his part, the contract extension talks with CJ Stroud, I think the whole saga has been interesting. Now, I don't think either side has bad blood, right? However, Will Anderson Jr. gets paid, no surprise there, earns all the money, gets his extension. Daniil Hunter, extension. Aziz, extension. Nico Collins, contract we worked, however, got an extension. A lot of players have already gotten their second contract from the Houston Texans, from general manager Nick Caserio, Derek Stingley. Now all eyes are on CJ Stroud. If you ask a Houston Texan fan, what you're going to hear 8 out of 10 times is wait for this season to play out. And if it goes good, give him the money. If it doesn't go good, hey, find another scenario for CJ Stroud and get yourself another quarterback. Then there's the other side, right? The 2 out of the 10 that are saying pay him right now, buy low, but low risk, not low risk. Buy low, but the risk is what you saw against New England, the 4 interceptions becoming your reality and a possibility every Sunday. Now, before we get into the article, ladies and gentlemen, episode brought to you and powered by PrizePicks. Play $5, get $50 instantly in lineups. Use code HMA. We have Christian Pulisic, shot on target. We're going more, and then we have Arda Guler, more on his pass attempted 50 and a half. It's going to be a good game tonight. Mexico was a great game last night. Shout out to Memo Ochoa. Definitely showing my age there, but Prize Picks, play $5, get $50 instantly in lineups. Just use code HMA. Now, as we get to the article, Stroud and the Texans aren't close to a deal as of late June. Houston and its quarterback are in a tricky spot because last season did not end the way either would have preferred. Stroud threw 4 interceptions against the Patriots in the AFC divisional round. A performance like that could cause hesitation when the extension for Stroud could be in the 55 to 60 million range per year. With how negotiations are currently going, it's gearing up to be a prove-it season for Stroud. So the last part there, how negotiations are currently going. So I could only infer and concur that there are contract talks between CJ Stroud, David Mulligeta, the Houston Texans, D'Amico Ryans, and Nick Caserio. So we're hearing some talks now. Just the two sides are on a different story. Of course, with CJ Stroud, he wants that 55 to $60 million range. And the argument for CJ Stroud is, you guys are going to hate it, but it's a resume. Offensive Rookie of the Year, playoff win. Wait, hold up. Offensive Rookie of the Year, 10-win season, 10-win season, 10-win season, division, playoff win, playoff win, playoff win. That's the resume of CJ Stroud as we head into these negotiation talks. Regardless on how we know the games ended, the seasons ended, the way he played throughout those 3 years, those are going to be his. This is what I brought to the table. This is what I did. This is my end of the bargain that I held up. I know that's a phrase that has been taken a lot out of context, but it's what I'm using right now. The Texans side, it's, well, the last 2 years, you can say the play has regressed. And then you can say the last thing that's on my mind is the 4 interceptions against the New England Patriots in Foxborough. That's going to be the main argument for the Houston Texans. And here's the thing. This is why in the first sentence here, Houston and his quarterback are in a tricky spot because both sides are right. When it comes to this contract negotiation, this doesn't really feel like a negotiation of what we normally see, where the player is just getting the bag, getting all this guaranteed money, getting these no trade clauses. That's what we are normally, used to seeing with these contract extensions. But what makes it tricky is how the last 2 seasons of play were for CJ and that New England game. That's why everyone can say, hey, the Houston Texans have an honest conversation, an argument here when it's what have you done for me lately? And what's crazy is, ladies and gentlemen, quarterbacks have been paid for less. Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa, those 3 guys, all at one point, were the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And as of right now, none of those guys had the playoff success that CJ Stroud has. Justin Herbert doesn't even have a playoff win. Quarterbacks have been paid for less, and that's what makes this situation hard. Now, with the Jaguars, with the Dolphins, you can say, well, hey, those franchises really haven't had a quarterback in a long time. And, maybe they had to go out and pay him because that's the norm. It doesn't feel like that situation is going to be happening here in Houston, which is why it's interesting. It's interesting because it feels like both sides still hold a lot of respect with each other. Right? Normally, when we are seeing, you know, contract extension battles, one side's very upset, one side's holding out, and the other side is just deflecting every question they get at, like interviews and things of that nature. But it doesn't feel like that's happening here. Even though this is a tricky situation, it's not a negative situation. It's not a Brandon Ayuk type situation with the San Francisco 49ers. And they're two different situations, but we're not seeing, I don't think we're going to see CJ Stroud hold out. CJ Stroud talk in the podiums and play games making business decisions. I honestly do feel like there is a conversation that was had, and the conversation was, man, if you ball out here, and if you do ball out, we might find ourselves with a ring on our finger. I have no issue making you the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. The Houston Texans want to do that, but it's CJ Stroud. Is he going to hold up his end of the bargain? It's not over yet. This is the biggest season of CJ Stroud's football career. And to be quite honest with you guys, this feels like one of the most important seasons ever for the Houston Texans. Because if this season goes right, you might find yourself with a Lombardi trophy and a franchise quarterback, something that you struck out with on David Carr and you struck out with Deshaun Watson. CJ Stroud will be the third time's the charm. But if not, you head in to 2027 with not only needing a franchise quarterback and a starting quarterback, because those two things are different in 2027, but your main focus and goal of the offseason will be getting the best package you can from CJ Stroud. This is the biggest season for the Houston Texans ever. It's crazy that a lot could happen with this organization. It feels like this is the potentially the client. I don't want to say climax, but it feels like we're reaching an end on an answer about whether or not CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans are meant for each other. And this is our guy. Right? The story's getting up. The story's like, I didn't want to say it's reaching a climax, but it feels like it's there. And then I wonder, once you reach that climax, right, there's always an ending, but it won't feel like the ending. It'll feel like a new beginning. It would feel like the Houston Texans enter the 2027 and for the foreseeable future with their franchise quarterback, which would be something that we're not familiar with, which is something that we're not used to. We think CJ Stroud could be a franchise quarterback. Right now, a lot of people think that he can't. I don't think we have ever felt as a fan base like real confident we got the guy. I mean, sure, some of the Schaub years were fun. The first year of Deshaun Watson was great. I mean, first year of CJ was fantastic. But even then, after that, you just felt like there was something missing. I don't want to head into 2027 needing another quarterback, guys. I want to know that CJ Stroud is definitely the guy. And from what we heard today from his contract extension update, there is no update. We knew what it was going to say, that it's going to be a wait and see season. It's going to be a wait and see, guys. Do not forget, this episode is brought to you and powered by PrizePicks. Play $5, get $50 instantly in lineups. Use code HMA. Here is the lineup for tonight's USA versus Turkey matchup. Play $5, get $50 instantly in lineups. Use code HMA. I love you all. CJ Stroud, prove to us you're the guy. Have a very, very blessed day.